Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian, and today we're going to be taking a look at the command elements to, or part of the command elements to our Unhallowed Chaos Space Marine army. The Unhallowed are Chaos Space Marines dedicated to the worship of Slanesh, who is the rather freaky god, one of the four. And I wanted to kind of theme the army around being Slanesh, and so they get to carry themselves a Rapturous standard, which is this thing here. Had some spare bits left over, so I included the whips with this guy's hand because he's holding the Rapturous standard, and so he's also going to be sort of whipping people into following the correct god and pushing troops forwards by flaying them, which is sort of a nice happy thing that the Slanesh are wont to do. Also it just looked cool, and it was a spare bit I had left over from another build, and I thought I'd add the whip to him to make him look a little bit different. I could have just given the guy a bolt gun, but that'd be dull. So that's this guy here, who's quite nice in his bronzed armour. Oops, he didn't want to move. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Oh, they're not getting along now. So that's the Rapturous standard, and then we get the chapter standard. Now, underneath, the chapter standard has the teardrop. Background to that, there's an old legend going back probably to slightly post-heresy, where every time 1,000,000 soldiers die for the Imperium, or every time 10,000 Space Marines die, the Emperor, the corpse Emperor in his golden throne, will shed a single tear of regret, which is just a made-up myth, but it is commonly held within the Empire that this might be true. And what the Unhallowed do is, when they went on the Abyssal Crusade, they were ordered onto a crusade. They were not guilty of any form of heresy, but they were betrayed by an Inquisitor who condemned 30 Space Marine chapters as heretics and forced them to go on a crusade to fight to the death. And all the chapters had to paint out their emblems on their shoulders, so they weren't allowed to use any iconography. And so they painted out the iconography on their shoulder pad, and they just left it blank. As you can see there, they painted it over, and they added a teardrop because the teardrop is the tear of the Emperor. Therefore, these Space Marines are denying the tear that the Emperor will cry. Instead, they actually have the tear on their own livery. So that's kind of the plot. So yeah, underneath the tear here on the banner, which is the banner of the emblem of their army, they have the original banner underneath. That sword with the iron halo is the original banner, original chapter iconography, which has been painted over. They left it on, they've painted over with the teardrop. Sort of a kind of remembrance to who they actually are, but with the teardrop added just for effect. The standard is a standard you get from the Chaos box, the Slanesh Cavalry, I believe. Yes, we have one here. That's the standard that they're carrying, so it's the same standard. And all I've done is I've taken the standard off of one of these because I had quite a few cavalry, and I've put him on a Space Marine. So they have a Slaneshic looking banner, but it could quite easily be any Space Marine banner, but they've just added Chaos iconography to it. And that's the way I went with it. Not a huge build, didn't take a lot of converting. Added him a chainsword there, he's got a nice pistol to fight with, and you've got all the sort of usual gubbins that Chaos Space Marines seem to carry around with them. So we'll get on to actually how they're used. As with any Space Marine Army or Chaos Marine Army, you don't actually get a command squad. So you get figures that can be put together to make a command squad during the battle. So things like apothecaries are independent. In fact, most Chaos Space Marines don't even use apothecaries. So we've got Chapter Banner, standard +1 leadership within 12 inches. It's just a chapter banner. That's all it is. It doesn't do anything special. And then you have the Rapturous standard, which anything within 6 inches that take hits can ignore the hits on a 4+. That's it. It's not. It's relatively useful. It's a bit like having an additional save. Right. So the the standard is carrying a bolt pistol. This guy's carrying the lash whip, and the lash whip is a lash of torment. That's a Slaneshic demonic weapon. So it's an assault D6. Great, it's an assault weapon, and you use it going into combat. It has a strength of 4, damage of 1, but it gives you D6 attacks. So these guys are Slanesh, remember, which means they have the mark of Slanesh, and as I've mentioned in all my videos, the mark of Slanesh enables you to attack first. It gives you you automatically win initiative in combat. That's great, and that means that this figure alone, not only does he have the banner, which gives him that additional ability to ignore hits because you've got a demonic aura around you, you also get D6 attacks. That's pretty good. You could get up to 6 attacks in combat attacking first. That's okay. Sadly, it is only a strength 4 weapon, so it's just like doing normal attacks, but it's D6 of them instead of 1. The additional bonuses, you automatically get 2 attacks anyway. So you are getting your 2 attacks plus D6, which is actually pretty useful. That's pretty good going. Both of them are Chaos Champions, obviously, and will put you back about 50 odd points, or 75 points, I think, using the banners and everything. I think we'll put you back about 75 points. So not a huge amount of money to spend, points to spend on something that will give you quite a few bonuses. So that's it. I think that's the end of the video. Chaos are as Chaos does, so I would think that these would probably be best used in the front line with your forward units, rather than trying anything like to hold them back. I often see people playing and they have things like the chapter banner, which is effectively this thing, and having that at the rear with their sort of artillery choices to give them more ability to sort of stay in place. I don't like that. I think banners should be at the very front, because that's where you really need that +1 leadership, because that's where the troops break most in combat. But people seem to want to hide their banner, and I never really understood that. The banner should be at the front. Some Space Marines, Imperial Fists do. If their banner is killed, then you can take a standard leadership role, and one of your supporting Marines can become the standard bearer. So you always keep the standard, or mostly you keep the standard flying. You don't get to do that with Slanesh, unfortunately. There's no special rules for that. So I suppose you could always do it if you're just doing a game and you decide that you can do that, but you'd have to agree with the player you're playing against beforehand. And that's it. That's covering everything I've done. I hope you like the figures. Please leave a like if you like the video. Feel free to share the video. Subscribe if you haven't already done. And if you're already subscribed, just make sure you are subscribed, because YouTube's been making subscribers disappear. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video, which will doubtless be more Slanesh stuff. Also got a few unboxing to do, but I'm trying to get the Slanesh stuff out of the way first. And that's it from me. This has been Imperator Vespasian. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.